Hey, what's up, guys? Wanted to bring you a video today about lighting, EDC lights, handgun mounted lights that you carry with you on a daily basis, and kind of go over my evolution of what I went through and what works for me now. I'm going to start out with probably the more common pocket carry flashlight. I had really good luck with this Streamlight ProTac TLX. It's the 2-cell and it'll take the 18650 battery. It's 500 lumen. And it's been a great light. I've had no issues with it. As you can see on this particular one, it's pretty beat up. I've carried a lot. I've had it probably maybe a month or so, maybe even less than that than when they came out. So it's probably been, I don't know, a year and a half or so that I've had it, maybe even two, something like that. I've been carrying it daily. And it's been a great light. It's never let me down. Never had any issues with it. I got a couple of them so I'd have a backup, and I've never had to use it. Nothing's ever went wrong with the first one. They got the 10-tap programmable. I don't like a strobe or any changing feature of the light. I want to know what it is every time I pull it out as far as what the output is. So I did the program where it's just high only. So there's no strobe. No matter how fast you tap it, it don't go into strobe mode. So I've been really happy with this light. I do like Streamlight's products. They seem to be really good for the money. They're, I would say, second to Surefire, obviously in quality. I do think Surefire at least has maybe a longer track record or whatever, but for hard use lights. But Streamlight hasn't let me down. I've got a lot of their products, and really good for the money is this Streamlight. I think these can be had on Amazon for right about the $50 mark. So great choice for the money, like I said, for everyday EDC. I've since kind of expanded my bubble there and kind of broke down and bought an actual Surefire. And the funny part is it's the EDC L2-T, which is the 1200 lumen model. It's kind of got the gas pedal switch, so it's got a low if you push it softly, which is I think 5 lumen, and then when you kick it all the way down, it's 1200 lumen, or max 1200 as the battery goes down. It goes down, but 1200 max. This has a really good throw, kind of a decently focused beam, but it gives you a good spill. Same thing with the Streamlight. It has a good spill, and what that is like kind of for lighting a bigger area, where if you have it really concentrated, it'll light farther, but it won't kind of give you the peripheral spill or view that you need. Sometimes when you're just wanting to light up something like a room or maybe a short distance, but see a wide area. This has a pretty good split between the two. It's not so bad that it's so focused you can't really see what's going on around you. At night, I've used it out here in pitch darkness, and I was able to see actually my steel target from 110 yards. I was just shining it down there, and I could clearly see my steel target at 110 yards. So, I mean, it's a great light as far as throw goes. The funny part the first Streamlight I've actually bought brand new. Put the money down to go to a Surefire, and this one had issues where if it got bumped, it would go into low and kind of hang and stay on, not touching the switch, just kind of tapping the body. And so I called Surefire. They were really cool about it. They're like, yeah, let's send you a tail cap. That'll fix this. Call us back. We'll give you a RMA to send it back and whatever. So they send you tail cap out, put it on, same problem. And what was funny is there was a little machine bezel inside here, kind of like a collar that fits on the back side. I really don't know what it does. It doesn't stop the batteries from moving back or anything like that. But what was happening is as you tap it, that would kind of work its way back and make contact into the switch. So I pulled it out, and it fixed it. I don't know really what that purpose serves. It works without it. Obviously, probably should be in there because they wouldn't have put it in there if they didn't need to. But that's what fixed it. So now there's no problems with it. You can bump it, bang it, however you want to do it, and like I said, the light don't come on. So kind of funny though to actually go out and get a Surefire product and then get a kind of a dud or whatever. But pulling that out, it works fine now. Happy with it. It's a little long, as far as in the pocket carrying stuff like that, but it does sit fairly low in your pocket. But it's a good light now after I fixed it. But I'm happy with the beam. I'm happy with the throw. It will not take 18650 batteries because it's got a really thin, small tube on it, so it's going to be limited to CR123 onlys or rechargeable 123s, but you will not be able to get an 18650 in it like the Streamlight. Another light I just picked up, had it about a week, which is the Surefire E2T MV Tactician. And this light was pretty cool. I remember if you guys follow James Yeager, where I guess he had a hand in kind of some of the features on it. I do like a non-lockable tail cap. So no matter how hard you press it, it don't stay on. If you do need to stay on, you can just screw the bezel in. It'll lock it on if you need to. If you need, put it in your mouth to work on something or whatever, it is possible. You just screw that in. It will stay on. So I do like the kind of gas pedal type switch or whatever you want to say. This does have 2 modes, and to get to the other mode, you just turn the bezel a quarter of a turn. It goes into a low mode, which I've read it's 5 lumen, and I've read it's 1.5, so I'm not sure. It's somewhere in between 1.5 and 5 lumen, but it's definitely in total darkness. It's enough if you want to read something or got to look at something, and not kind of take away your night vision. It doesn't really dilate your pupils, so that's kind of cool. You can use it if you just need to get by or see something down there. You could use it in the low mode. So cool light. I don't like to carry it head up like that, and unfortunately it's not a switchable clip. I'm trying with this little lanyard here so I can put it in my pocket and have the lanyard out. Then if I do need to grab it, I can grab the lanyard, which then kind of mimics bezel down carry is how I prefer it. So you pull out your pocket and have it handy. So the reason why I bought it, it was on sale on Amazon for like $89. So when these came out, I remember like pre-order on them was like $160, $170. It was something way up there. Now that sounds like a cool light, and it's 800 lumen. And the difference in this light, as far as like I was saying, the beam spread, it's got a very wide beam, and it doesn't really have a defined hot spot. So that real hot focus part, you usually have a light and then spill around it. This kind of takes that and makes that hot spot spill around the whole area. So it's got a good broad flood type light to it. So for something close up, or seeing a wide area close up, it's great. It's probably the best one as far as how it's focused doing that. But it doesn't shoot, far down. Like as far as I can't see 100 yards with it, it's not going to light it up enough at that distance to see, get a good focus of what's down there. It's not going to light it up enough. But up close, it's probably better as far as, like I said, lighting up room type areas. Real kind of short distances where you want to see wide. So it's pretty cool. I've only had a couple days. Like I said, I've been carrying it, but I haven't got a real chance to play with it and give a real solid opinion on it. But I can tell you I don't like bezel up carry, so hopefully this lanyard will kind of mitigate that, and I can carry it bezel down. On to weapon lights. When I started out carrying, when I did switch over to a gun-mounted light, is a TLR HL. And this is an awesome light. It's worked good. I like the switch. I like the throw. Like it's 800 lumen. It's really bright. Everything about it is great, except when you're carrying it the added length. When you're carrying it like a 19 like this, which is normally my EDC is some type of Glock 19. Here recently I've been carrying the M&P 2.0 compact, which is basically a Glock 19 size gun. So when you're putting this in, you're getting a holster for it. It's got to obviously have the added Kydex or something, to cover the light, or even if the light's exposed in it, you're still got that extra length. And for me, like on long drives, it's really uncomfortable. It really starts burning in, kind of in my pelvic area or whatever. It just tends to push in. So walking around all day, it's fine. I have no issues with it. Just sitting, driving, like I said, driving long distances, it gets uncomfortable sometimes to the point where it's unbearable, where I have to take the holster out. But like I said, walking around, awesome light. I like the activation. I like the switches. One way is momentary. Down with your support hand is momentary. Up is on, and plenty bright. Like I said, I take the same thing. I do the 10 tap so it doesn't go into strobe. I don't care for the strobe mode at all. After that, I actually bought a holster. Sort of behind this lane, I bought a holster from a guy on AR15.com, which was at Incog, G-code Incog, that was listed as a TLR1 holster. So when I got it, it wasn't. It was actually for this light here, this Enforce APL. So contacted the guy. He was really cool about it. He's like, hey, ship it back, man. I'll give you your money back. That's my bad. I've never even tried it. It was supposed to be for a TLR light. I thought, hey, it gives me an excuse to buy another light, right? So I bought this light, put it on, put the holster on, hated the holster. Couldn't stand it. Didn't like it at all. So I really have no experience carrying this light. It's really cool on a 17. It's almost flush fit. I do like the paddle activation. If you hold and let go, it's momentary. If you tap it, it's what turns it all the way on. It's paddles on both sides, so you can activate it. This one you can actually reach with your trigger finger if you had to, or your sport hand. It's right there. It's got a good location, from a shooting. You just dip your thumb down to activate, kind of like everything else. But this was just an in push. Like I said, tap it, stays on. Hold it, it's momentary. So cool light. It's probably a really good light. They do make it in the C version as well, APL-C, which is kind of more geared towards the Glock 19. I think the output on this is 400 lumen. It takes a single CR123 battery. And like I said, probably a really good light. I just didn't, at that point, didn't want to fork out another 100 plus bucks on a holster to fit it. Thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to try it out and maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. And then I'm out the light and another holster. So I just didn't go that far and I didn't get a chance to play with it. But it seems like a solid option. This is the Gen 3, so it's got the metal parts. Some of the earlier ones didn't have the metal threads in the bezel and I think the metal mounting plates. So this is kind of the later version of it. But it seems really solid. I just don't have the experience with it. It's actually using it or carrying it. What I have been carrying lately, though, is the TLR7. And this is a pretty cool light. I didn't really care for it at first because the button activation is really weird. It doesn't give you a feel when you're kind of touching the button. It's almost like a microwave. When you walk up punching numbers on a microwave, that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just, there's just nothing really there. There's no squish or sponge or feel to the switch. It just kind of comes on. It's almost like, it's no difference and feels like you pushed aside a slide and the light turned on. So I kind of had to get used to that to get the location of the button. It's got a little raised tab on it. So you can feel it once you get used to it. But starting off new, I really didn't care for it. It was kind of on the fence. And it was just the activation button. I'm shooting it now. I've used it for a couple months. I've really been dry firing at night, pulling out, activating the switch, kind of really trying to manipulate it well. And I've gotten used to it, put it that way. And the size is great, the output's great. It's 500 lumen. It's a single CR123 battery. It's got a really short runtime, I think of like an hour constant on, which, that's a lot on a weapons light. You're not, sitting there just illuminating everything with it, or at least I hope you're not. So, battery life isn't a real downside of that just because you're not using it. Like I said, for everyday tasks, obviously. But it's been pretty cool. I do like that it ends kind of with the frame of a 19 size gun. It's flush. So when you get a holster, now when you're carrying it, it doesn't go down any farther than your Glock 19 barrel would have. It's just obviously a little wider, but it's just kind of level with your trigger guard there. So holster-wise, it's really cool. The really downsides I found, though, there's not a lot of people that support the TLR7 for some reason, or at least the ones lights I was buying. But Burleyman Tactical does, Tier 1 Concealment does, but T-Rex doesn't. I do like T-Rex holsters. I do like them for the TLR ones they make. Like I said, it is kind of long, the long holster, but that's not anything indicative of T-Rex. It's just that light. But they don't support the TLR7. I actually emailed them. And he emailed me back. He's like, no, we're not planning to support that light, pretty much at all. So I would say don't look for nothing in the immediate future from T-Rex for that light, unfortunately. But it is a cool light. Like I said, I just picked this one up, so I got the tag on it. I've been carrying on my Glock 19. I've used that one for quite a while on my M&P. So I had some holsters ordered and got some in and been carrying both guns now with the TLR7, and I'm pretty happy with it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, guys. Is me personally, there's different schools of thought on it. Anything, my own personal opinion is anything that's a defensive gun, pistol, rifle, shotgun, that's going to be used for, say, home defense, concealed carry, any kind of defensive purposes, should have a light source on it. And, my theory behind that is you have to identify a threat. You can't just hear a bump in the night and start shooting. So, you can mitigate that with the handheld. It's just, there's pros and cons to both. You're going to lose, one hand of grip on the weapon if you're using a handheld. With a weapon mount light, you're going to have a little added bulk. You're not going to obviously use that to kind of search around and do whatever. That's where your handheld's for. So it's kind of I would say a weapon mounted isn't an only, especially on a pistol, handgun when you're out carrying. It's not the only light source you should have on you. You should have a good, pocket light, and then that kind of takes over at that point where if you had to use it, you could drop your handheld light and go to your weapon light. If you take any kind of low light training, and stuff like that, you'll know that the more lumens you have, it's beneficial. With training, you can run 800 lumen flashlight in a white painted house. It's more of just a training technique. It's not that the light is so bright. It's just you don't shoot it into a mirror or shoot it straight directly in the wall and staring at it at 3 feet. So there's a way to mitigate that. Some guys just think at some point it's too much. I mean, they're obviously open their opinion. That's cool, but I think if those guys would take, like I said, a low light training class and see how you could actually use a bright light like that, you could basically point at a footboard or a mop board on a wall, and it's going to light that room up. There's no reason why you have to, put it straight on the wall 3 feet away and stare at it. So it's difference of opinions, and like I said, it's cool if you're in the camp that thinks, at some point there's too much. So totally fine. That's why we all have opinions, and that's why they make all the different lights they do. So if we all agreed on the same thing, there'd be one light we'd all run. So anyways, guys, just kind of want to bring that to you of what I carry. See, pocket wise, budget wise, you can't really beat the Streamlight. Awesome light for the money. I'm still, like I said, dipping my toe in the water, so to speak, at the whole Surefire thing here, and been cool so far. Like I said, once I fix this light, awesome. Throwing everything, happy with them. TLR7, if you're thinking about it, they're like $107 or something on Amazon now. They're not really costly, so I'd consider that somewhat on the budget end. I wouldn't run anything less. For me personally, just my personal opinion, I try to buy quality gear to a certain extent. As far as the money dictates, I just can't go out and dump $500 on some latest greatest whiz bang Surefire when if I can run a Streamlight for $100 that's working solid enough to where I feel I can depend on it. And this TLR7 has been pretty solid. I have more experience with the TLR1, and I'd say that's hands down a solid light. I've ran on rifles, shotguns, handguns. It's a great light. Those are probably about $120, $130 on Amazon, so they've came down in price. Awesome light, like I said, just plan for the extra bulk and whatever holster setup you run. If you run at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, or if you run appendix, however. But good lights, guys. Like I said, have one with you. It's the best, especially if you EDC a handgun, you're concealed light carry or whatever. It's definitely a great option. You definitely want to be able to identify. There's stats all over the place. It's like 70 to 80% of shootings are involved in low light or no light situations. So it's kind of just good to be prepared for that kind of thing. But anyways, guys, I have a upcoming 43X video that hopefully I can get filmed today and get posted in the next couple days. And I'm going to do some shooting with it, show you guys the difference between that and some other stuff. So anyways, thanks again. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.